Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Same Bet. Now, today I'm joined by a very special guest, a friend of mine, TRG, the Ramblin Gambler from Casino Kombat podcast. Now, one of the things that is really different about this episode is I'm here down at my table. I don't usually do this. I don't normally like to go live from down here in table, showing my betting strategies and things like that. I leave that to other people. But TRG has posted several waging systems that really speak to me, and I really want to learn them and see if that's something that I can adapt into my own play. So TRG, welcome back to the show.
Oh, well, thanks very much. I think this should be a lot of fun for you, a lot of fun for me, and a lot of fun for everybody that gets to see it. And maybe everybody learns a little bit of something too.
Yep, I hope so. I really hope so. I think this could be educational and entertaining. So
There we go.
what I would like to do tonight is talk about TRG wagering system number 2, Always Be Grindin. And before we kind of lay it out, can you talk a little bit about where did this strategy come from?
All right. So the shortest version I can give you, which may be the long version, um, I invented a martingale based strategy, TRG1, in an environment where I was in Atlantic City or Las Vegas for a few days to a week at a time, and I could just bounce from table to table to table to table. And it works fine that way, and it works fine if you don't have a concern about comps. If you don't care, when I invented it, if you moved from Flamingo in Las Vegas to Caesars across the street, you were changing reward systems. So I didn't really once a year, a few days. I really couldn't do the comp part of things. When I was able to play locally or regionally and play multiple times a week, what I found is I was often in a situation where the inventory of available chairs at a blackjack table didn't allow me to just bounce from table to table to table to table. In some cases, I'd be going from table A to table B to table A to table B, and I was messing up my comps, and I was making my life more difficult. And I actually took about a 6 or 8 day break and stripped everything down, thought back through everything I had created, 15, 20 years earlier. And so I found this system called Oscar's Grind.
Yes.
And like you, that sounded like what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to grind out a profit. And when I dug into Oscar's Grind, I found that it had two things I didn't like. It didn't have what I call a progressive side, which is increasing your wager by some amount after a win or series of wins. So it didn't have that component at all. And on what I call the regressive side, which is going up after a loss or a series of losses, it didn't have a cap. If you needed to make a 6 or 7 unit bet, you made a 6 or 7 unit bet because you just kept going up until you won 1 unit. And when I'm putting together blackjack plans, when I'm putting together blackjack strategies, I'm always concerned about what I call the unicorn hand, and I've never seen one. The unicorn hand is you get a set of eights and you split them, and the first eight you get a 2 or a 3, so you double, and on the next eight you get an 8, and that continues until you've made the same bet 8 times. And if you win that kind of thing, it's glorious, it's wonderful. But if you don't win that, it can be a real bankroll breaker. And so I never want to bet so high that I'm going to break not only my table bankroll, but my session bankroll or my day bankroll on one hand.
Right.
So I built in some guardrails. I built in a progressive side. I built some limits to how large I would go on the regressive side. And I went out and started playing it. And for anybody that's going to go out and try to play it, please understand that when I invented it, I would sometimes play heads up with a dealer I knew well and tell them, I'm really sorry. I'm trying a new wagering system. I may not always know what my next bet is without taking a minute. And they all understood, and I wasn't holding up anybody else's game. And that's how I sorted out this need for a 2-stack system. We're always going to have a play stack, which I always like to set at 10 units, and a win stack. And we always rebuild, at the beginning, always rebuild your play stack. when you've been doing it a while, you will sometimes get to the point where you know what it's all going to look like. But visually, your play stack should tell you what you need to bet next. And
Yeah.
then obviously the win stack tells you how much you won. And in the combination, then they help you manage your positive or negative exits.
Now, when you started putting this together, it was all about blackjack. Did you have other games in mind?
No, I wasn't that smart. I'll be honest, it wasn't until I wrote the first couple podcast scripts for what became Casino Kombat that I started thinking about that very idea. Would this apply to something else? Do I have to tell people blackjack? And then I thought, oh, well, no, you've done this at Baccarat. Baccarat works. You're just bored. That's just a personal choice I make. I think Baccarat is a perfectly reasonable place to apply all of this. You give the house a slightly larger advantage, regardless of which wager you select, but there is no basic strategy. There is nothing else you have to know how to do. So there are some trade-offs, but Baccarat, either player or bank, works fine. Pass, don't pass craps, works fine. I suspect we're giving up a little more house advantage to go field. Field should work just fine. Any of the 50-50 roulette bets, even odd, red, black, top half, bottom half, any of those bets. Now, why do I not do roulette? Well, why give the house $4 per 100 when I can give the house 35 cents per 100?
Right.
But some of those are just preferences.
Yeah, like you said, if roulette's your game, okay, well, then that's your game. Let's give it a shot. But at the end of the day,
probably less boring.
Well, that's true. And TRG, you and I have been kind of communicating back and forth, and I have actually played this on a bubble crap system over the weekend, and it is a boring system to play unless you like winning. and
Exactly.
Then it's kind of fun.
You took that sentence right out of my mouth. I've been doing a small experiment with bubble craps just to move the process along so you don't have that wait for everybody else. I've been doing it on the dark side, and it seems to work just fine. And you just sit down, you get your bottle of water and grind through it. It is always be grinding for a reason. And here's what I always come back to. I often come out of the casino, the nice temperature controlled, beautiful casino, and I've spent an hour or two, and I have my day's pay, and I drive by the wonderful people building the roads and bridges, and I drive by the people that are delivering the mail, and we certainly need all those people. But okay, my system's grindy. It's kind of boring. Well, okay, I do it for a couple hours a day and I get a day's pay and I get out. That's a real easy way in my mind to make money.
Yeah. All right. So if you don't mind, why don't we go ahead and just get started? I want to show another screen just so we have it for a reference. I've got another screen up here with this fancy little flow chart. Now, I know a lot of people can get intimidated by a flow chart, but it really isn't too bad. And these are free. You have these listed on your Casino Kombat website, which I'll put a link down in the description that people can go out and see these flowcharts. But we're going to kind of reference these as we go through it, make sure that I'm understanding things right, and go from there. Now, in order to move things along, we're just going to make a field bet. That way, with every roll of the dice, we win or we lose, and we follow the flow chart and make our decisions appropriately. I'm starting out with 10 units, and I've got them down here so it's easy for everybody to see. So I've got $250, $25 green chips. Okay, so the very first thing that we're going to do is, of course, we're going to make a bet. And right now, for this purposes, the point doesn't matter. We're just going to always work it, if that's okay with you.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think we're going to be able to actually see the results of the dice here. So I'm just going to pick them up, random roll it, throw it down towards the end, and we're going to have a 10 as our first roll, which is good for us. A 10 is a win in the field. All right.
Right. So if I was doing that, then I would rebuild my stack, and I'd have my 10 units, and then I'd have my one unit in the play stack or the win stack.
So here we're going to pay the win. We're going to bring them both back, and I'm going to bring this back to even. So I've got 10 stacks, and I've got 1 left over. Now, this is what you consider building your win stack. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Since I want people to be able to see it, I'm going to put my wins down here just so everybody can see it, and then my play stack is over here. All right, so let me flip over here. So we started out 1 unit, and we've got two branches that we can go. Either yes, we won, or no, we didn't. And this time we won. So to me, it looks like we're going to go to the progressive 1 side of things, and we're going to bet 1 more unit.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. So let's flip back over. There we go. So I'm going to take 1 unit out of my play stack, place it in the field, and here we go again. Just looking for another field number. And we're not going to get it. This time it's a loss. That's an 8. All right. So bring the dice back. Bring down the chip that just lost. And now I've only got 9 units in my play stack. So let's flip back over here and see what happens. Underneath that progressive 1, we had to bet 1 unit, and then again a decision. Is it a win or a loss? This one is a loss, so it's going to take us over to the regressive side where we're going to bet 1 unit. Okay. So now my play stack is 9. I'm going to make a 1 unit bet. Here we go. Sorry, those went off the screen, I'm sure, but that's a 6. That's a 4 and a 2. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a loss. We're going to have our second loss. Flip back over. So on the regressive side, we also have that win or loss decision tree. And since we lost here, then a series of sub-decisions, I think, need to be made. For this one, it's the play stack less than 4 units. And no, my play stack is still pretty well intact. We've still got quite a bit of money to work with. So we follow, we follow it back to bet 1 unit again. Now, TRG, I tell you, when I've been practicing this, I spend a lot of time in this regressive 1 loop. And that's one of the things that I think I'm hoping to talk through today. I don't know if maybe I'm interpreting something wrong or no, that's true. We'll spend a lot of time here as part of the grinding part of things.
I think if you did this 100 times, you would find that 1/3 of the time you quickly get to a win.
Okay.
A little less than 1/3 of the time if I'm thinking out loud, okay? No, maybe say it this way. 25% of the time, you're just going to quickly get a win, and a small percentage of that, you're just going to keep winning and winning and winning. About 25% of the time, you're going to just be trending toward a loss and trying to stay in and trending toward a loss and trying to stay in, and then the loss happens.
Okay.
And a very small percentage of that, you just lose. And the rest of the time, you grind.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
50%.
Something that you said that actually, I think we need to put a little disclaimer out here. We are not making any promises that this is a winning system. It is a method that you can play. It will win. It will lose. This particular system seems to be able to allow maybe a little bit longer time at a table for a smaller bankroll than what I'm used to. But I want to make it very clear that this is not a foolproof, send me $99.95 and you too can be a winner. So,
yeah, exactly. And I'd also throw the disclaimer there that I've never tried this on the field bet.
Okay.
We're using the field bet to illustrate and learn, but I've never tested it on the field bet. And you kind of point to why I decided to share what I knew and not do the send me $9.95 and I'll send you the secret to the world color-coded PDF. Because it's possible. It's really possible that I have just had a random 2 years playing this system. And those random 2 years, it really worked.
Yeah.
And then the next 8 are going to be horrible.
Yeah, I think you
You know,
in
that's
podcast 99, I think it is, you went into that in pretty good detail.
Yes, I did. I was on a bit of, 99 is fun because, and I'm digressing as I often do, but 99 is fun because a big chunk of episode 99 was recorded just after I got back from the casino and had an idea.
Mm.
And I just sat down, turned the microphone on, and started going through the idea. I didn't script it. I didn't write it out. I didn't record it in sequence. I didn't even know necessarily that the things you got in 99 would be in episode 99. And I suspect in hindsight, looking back, that how hyped I was probably led to that being 7 minutes or 6 minutes when it should have been 2. So I apologize.
No, it was a good episode. It was a good episode. All right, let's come back here. Now, I apologize. I don't remember if I was supposed to take that off or not, but we're going to pretend that it's in the win stack. So in the play stack. So right now I've got
a win stack. Sorry to interrupt. I've got a win stack of 4, 5, 6, 7.
Wait, win stack or play stack?
I got a play stack of 7. I got a win stack of 1, and I got a bet of 1.
There we go. Okay, we are back up and running. We are on the regressive 1 side of the chart for anybody that's following along. And here we go. We're just going to roll the dice, looking for a field number. And we get it. That's a 1, 2. We get a 3. The ace deuce, we get a 3. All righty. So we're going to grab another quarter. And right now we've got 2 units that we're going to put back over into our play stack. And I'm still down by 1 unit. So let me flip over here because I think we're into a different scenario.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so if you're following down, regressive 1, bet 1 unit, win, yes. Is the win stack less than 11? Yes, it is. So now we have another little calculation we need to make. The next bet is going to be either 11 minus your play stack or 2 units. So 11 minus 9 is 2. Or the comparison would be 2. So whatever the lesser is, you're going to make a 2-unit bet. So I've got $50 out on the field, and we're now in regressive 2 mode. All right, here we go. And we lose. That's a 5, 2, 7 out. Okay, so just like at any fickle table that you're going to play at, you lose at the wrong time. So we're going to lose these 2 units. Let me back up and ask if I did something right. Did the 2 units, are they supposed to come from my play stack, or was 1 unit supposed to come from my win stack?
No, that's an excellent question, and let me answer it this way. Chips only come out of the win stack on the progressive side of the system.
Okay. All right.
So as long as we're on the regressive side, we're always coming out of the play stack.
Okay, so we lost that $50 bet, and now my play stack is down to 7 units. If the flow chart here on regressive 2, the win was a no. The play stack less than 4 units, no, we're still good. So we follow the arrow back up, and we do that same calculation over again. 11 minus the play stack or 2 units. So 11 minus 7 is going to be greater than 2, so we're going to bet 2 units again.
Yep.
All right. Flip it back so everybody can see the dice. Here we go. Now we're really hoping for a field number here. And we didn't get it. That's a 6-1, 7 out. Okay. Take the 2 units away, and we are down to a play stack of only 5 units. Now, there is a stopping point here in this progressive, or in this system. You'll see here many times that we're asking the question, is your play stack less than 4 units? And if you ever get down below 4, that's an indication to walk away. Now, you go into a lot of detail in Blackjack why this less than 4 is the right exit strategy. What do you think about playing craps, whether it be a don't pass or a field? Does that 4, is it a real stopping spot, or could we continue?
So there's kind of two ways to look at this question. Uh, the first is the reason in blackjack for that extra little bit of bets is you might have to, on the last bet, make a split or a double or both. And so that leaves you a little cushion on your buy-in to cover that contingency. And you don't need that in craps. You don't need that in Bach. You don't need that in roulette. The other thing I would encourage people to consider, however, is that walking away from a table, having the discipline to walk away from any table with some of the money you brought to the table and bought in with, is a good mental discipline technique, in my humble opinion, in my less than humble opinion. I don't think gambling down to the last dollar, other than some real weird situations, the situation where, as I said, you make the split, you need to split again, then you need to double, and you're all in. But I think in the other games, having the discipline to walk away and put some of that money back in your bankroll has a lot of good mental discipline attributes that I still really like. I try to never walk away from a table with none of the money that I started with. And
Yeah.
I think it's a bankroll saver.
And I would wholeheartedly agree with that. There's just something mental about that, walking away with at least some of the dignity intact rather than walking out fully busted. So I agree with that. I like having a little bit left over as well. All right, so let's bring it back. So we were at regressive 2. We made a $50 bet and we lost. So again, we're going to go through that same situation. Is the play stack less than 4 units? And yes, no, it's not. We still got 5, so we've still got some bullets here to work with. We're going to follow that no path and make that same decision. 11 minus the play stack is going to be greater than 2, so it's another 2-unit bet. Now this is do or die. It's win or lose. So if we do lose here, we're going to be below that 4 mark, right? So this is where we really need to win on this roll. Here we go. And we do. It's a 5-4-9. We're a winner. Oh gosh, let me flip that back. Hopefully you can see that. 5-4-9 is a winner. And that was a 2-unit bet. So let's pay that out. We've got our 2 units. Now we're going to rebuild our play stack. So I've got 3 over here. There's 5. There's 7. Okay. So I've got 7 units. Now, TRG, I seem to recall you mentioned something that you always, how should I say this? Is my next bet based on what my play stack was before the win, or what it is after the win?
It's what it is after the win.
Okay.
Because
So
what we're always trying to do, what I tried to do in creating this, let me say it that way. I'm trying to win 1 unit with as little risk as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at this and I say, okay, I got 5 and I got 2 and I just won 2. And I don't want to make a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unit, 6 unit bet in order to win 1 unit, but I do want to try to grind my way toward that. So it's always based on the play stack after you've been given chips.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we had that win. We're starting to rebuild the play stack. I've got 7 units. Let's flip back over to see what the chart's telling us to do. That was a regressive 2 bet, okay? And we won. So we're going down to the regressive 3 page now, and I apologize, I do not have a graphic that I can flip over and show you what regressive 3 is. But essentially it's the same as regressive 2. The difference is it's the lesser of 3. Play stack minus 11 minus the play stack, or 3 units, whichever is less, I believe.
That's correct.
Okay, so
I think we're making a 3 unit bet.
Yep, that's what I was about to say. So my win stack is less than 11. My win stack is only 1. So we're going to make that decision now. The bet the lesser, 11 minus the play stack, or 3 units. Okay, so we've got 3 units out there, and 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got enough to make a 1 unit bet left in my play stack if the worst happens here. All right, let's hope for a field number. And we did not get it. That's a 6. That's a 5, 1, 6. Oh gosh, and I apologize, everybody. I keep forgetting to flip that screen back so you can see what it was. But I rolled a 6 there, and that means we are going to lose those 3 units. They whisked those away really quick. And since that was a loss, now we're going to follow the arrow back up to. Okay, since I can't show it here on the screen, are we following the arrow back up to the regressive 2 decision where you go to win stack minus?
No, we're going to the regressive 3 part, and I'll apologize. I don't have the chart in front of me.
Okay. Well, what I was trying to figure out is, are we going all the way back up to regressive 1, or are we going back here to regressive 2, or back to regressive 3?
We're going to regressive 3.
Okay. So it's the same thing, 3 units, 11 minus your play stack, or 3 units. Now, I've only got 4 here. Do I make that 3 unit bet and leave only 1 in my play stack?
You know, as much as I try to take as much on the table thought out as I can, at some point we have to make this choice. Or choices like this. If it was me, if this was real, I would probably say record that I lost 5 units and go look at the fountain and come back and try again. Because a 5 unit loss is not a big deal to come back from. And the alternative is to bet 3 units and possibly walk away with an 8 unit loss. But that is one of those, we're all big humans. We're all big boys and girls. And we all have to make some of those very on the edge, on the margin choices for ourselves. And then I'll go the other way. Suppose I was on a trip. I wasn't just gambling locally and trying to get my money and get out. I was on a trip. And I'd had several great sessions. And I had won a lot of money, whatever a lot of money means. I might say, hey, it's 10:30. It's been a good trip. Win or lose the 3 unit bet, I'm still going to have won 3 days pay today. Okay, I'm going to make the 3 unit bet and hope to keep my night going, help keep getting my comp points, try to turn this around. And the flip side, locally, as I said, if I was doing this locally, I think I'd probably I lost half of my buy-in, take a break, talk to a friend. We don't have a fountain. I'd look at the Buddha statue and then try it again from there.
Okay. So there's no hard, fast rule. It's kind of situational and what your comfort level is. I tend to agree with you. I would probably walk away here as well. It's easier to come back from a 5 or 6 unit loss than it is a 9 unit loss. But for purposes of the game here, let's go ahead and do it. We've got a 3 unit bet on the field, 1 left in the play stack, and let's just see what happens here. And it's a 6. Okay, so that is worst case scenario. We have hit the negative exit point for this game. Now, we didn't lose everything. We still had a unit over here in the win stack. So we just add it together, walk away with $50. And like you said, we'll record, we lost $200 in this session. Take a break, come back again at a later date or a later time and try it again. So TRG, if you're okay, we're about 30 minutes in right now. If you're okay, I want to force a situation and let's go through the progressive side. So okay. I'm going to rebuild my stack. Let's get back up to 10 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got 10 units out there. We've got 1 unit out there, and let's just say that we rolled a 7 on the come out. Okay, I'm sorry, not a 7. We're in the field. So let's say we rolled a 10 on the come out. We're going to get paid for it. First thing we do is rebuild. So I've got my 10 units, and I've got one left over that we're going to put in our win stack. Next, the next decision we make is also a 1 unit bet. Okay. And we're going to say we won that one too. We rolled back-to-back 10s, right? Okay, so we're winning that one too. Rebuild it again, and now I have 2 units in my win stack. Now here's where it gets a little bit fun. On the progressive side, it's time to start increasing the bets. Now I need to get a little bit of change here because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pay it back. So I've got my 2 units in the win. And it's time to do what the instructions say. You bet the previous amount plus 0.5 units from the win stack. So the previous amount, I'm going to take 1 chip from the play stack and then half from the win stack. Now, I'm doing a $25 example here, so we can't do it exactly even. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. I'm going to add $10 to that bet, but we could have done just as easily gone 15. Is that right?
That's absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. So here we go again. If we win, we're going to continue to go to, you know what? Let's just pretend. Let's not leave it to chance. So we're going to say we won this bet too. So we're going to get paid an extra $35. So we rebuild our play stack back to 10 units. And now I've got $25, $35, $45 going back into my win stack. Now, this, we just get in a loop and we continue to add a half a unit from the win stack to the bet. So get our base back out there. And I think I take the initial $10 that I increased it and then another $10.
Yes.
Okay, so both of those come from the win stack.
Correct.
All right, and then we win again, pay it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play stack goes back to 10 units, and again, we keep building up our win stack. Now, I know I didn't roll the dice to get here, but this does happen. You can get here. At what point do you start to think about getting out of the game? Do you have a win goal in mind, just like we have a loss, a negative exit strategy?
Yeah, we absolutely have a positive exit strategy, and this is certainly one of those areas that customization is allowed and encouraged. I start thinking about leaving when my win stack is around 8 units. That's when I start thinking about leaving, and I get real protective at that point. I'm maybe going to make, well, I mean, I'll be honest. If we were in this exact situation, the way you've kind of maneuvered us, and I lost the $55 wager that's next,
Mm-hmm.
I might take my win and walk away. It's not ideal, but I might do that. But normally I get to about 8 units, and then I'm willing to make 2 more bets. And maybe when I get to 10 units, maybe I'm willing to make 3 more bets. And if I get 12 units, I'm certainly willing to make 3, maybe even 4 more bets. But that's the area that I'm playing in, and I'm going to play that way. And then the kind of advanced way to do that is to say, okay, I've got these 2, 3, maybe 4 units that I'm willing to play. Now, next win, add it to the walk away stack. Next win, add it to the stay stack. And I have on occasion built another entire 10 unit bankroll to play with, a whole 10 unit play stack. My first play stack is off, my win is off, and I've got 10 units to keep playing with, and I'm still doing TRG2, Always Be Grindin.
Nice.
And I'm just now building a second win stack. And you can kind of move through that way. So absolutely, 8 units is my number. I know that East Coast Emissary, who, by the way, is a Casino Kombat Inner Circle member and who created the templates that are available in the Fred section of the website. We all really appreciate him taking the time to put those charts together. He's getting ready to do a teach for us, and he's got a logic of how to be much more conservative and have just when you get to 5 wins, 5 in your win stack, 10 in your play stack, he has a way to make sure you only make a few more bets and walk away with some of that 5. And that'll be coming up in episode 100. But my
Nice.
number is 8, and I'm really trying to get to 12. But I'll live with 6 or 7. That's good, right? If we have 5 unit losses and 7 unit wins, and we only win half the tables, we're fine.
Yep. You're walking away with more money than you spent. Okay, I gotcha. I
Right.
gotcha.
If we can do it half the time in a 50-50 game, we're in good shape.
Okay, let's go back and visit one of the things that you talked about earlier, where the strategy was originally designed for blackjack, but it can work in pretty much any even money game. Now, here on the craps table, we've got a couple of options. We've got the pass line, we've got the don't pass, and we've got the field. We've got come bets, we've got don't come bets. Any thoughts on when to play which one?
Well, I don't think there's a which one choice, honestly, that makes any sense.
Okay.
If we're playing for profit, we want to keep the house's advantage. One of my core concepts spelled with a K, is make wagers with the smallest house advantage possible.
Okay.
If we're going to play craps, unless you, with your much greater experience than I have, know differently, that's a don't pass bet.
Yep.
Pass bet, okay, if you want to go with the crew, that's fine. But those are the two. Pick one. It's kind of like I tell people, they say, well, I just want to do roulette. And I say, cool, pick black or red. And they say, I pick red. I say, great, that's your bet forever. That's
Okay.
your forever bet. Not going to guess. Not going to get in my own head and say there have been 3 reds, so now it's a black. I'm not going to get in my head and say, well, this shooter threw a 7 and an 11 and a 7, so I'm going to switch, because then immediately it's not going to go the other way. So I pick pass, pick don't pass.
Gotcha.
Pick player, pick bank. And
So,
just manage the money. Manage the money, manage your emotions, manage your positive and negative exits, and you don't have to manage anything else. And maybe 2 years is a fluke. Or maybe, just maybe, these processes will beat a 50-50 game. Or let me say that differently. No, let me say that very differently. Maybe what I've designed with other people's help will beat a 50-50 game more months than it won't. And the months where it doesn't, you will be given more in value from the casino system than you lost.
right.
So I'm not saying I win every time, but I'm saying I win most months, and I win money after expenses every year. And the months that I lose, I get more free stuff than I lost. And that free stuff, if the casino buys me and my wife 2 meals a week,
Mm-hmm.
that's real value.
Right.
If we just go in and they say, here's your brunch, here's your custom made omelet, here's your really yummy ice cream, looking forward to see you next Sunday, and that buffet would have cost $30 a person. Well, that's
value.
That's like I went to my local place and got brunch for $30 a person.
Right. You just got it for free.
Exactly.
So I'll tell you, I did play this strategy over the weekend on a bubble craps machine, and I played it on the don't pass, and I experimented also with the don't come. And what I ended up doing, and I'm probably going to get shot by my friends for this, but if the point was a 6 or an 8, I placed the 6 or 8 and just played it on out until that was resolved. If the roll was a 7, it was a total wash. If the roll was a 6, I made a few pennies off of the 6 or the 8. So I took the numbers, the
The
most
second
frequently
highest
rolled numbers,
probability.
right? Second highest probability, great, and I neutralized those. So I was really only playing if the point was a 4, 5, 9, or 10. Now that did a couple of things for me. It stabilized my bankroll just a little bit. I didn't have as many big swings, and it also allowed me to stay at the table quite a bit longer than I think I would have before. Sometimes I would have won, sometimes I would have lost, and but for me, that was a good way to continue to play and just sort of experiment with things. So if you do try this on a bubble craps or on a real machine or on a real table, yeah, keep that as an option. If you don't like those 6 and 8s, go ahead and place them and offset it a little bit and see if you can either minimize your win or loss. The thing is, treat it as a push, as you would a push in blackjack. You didn't win, you didn't lose. You just repeat the same bet.
I like that. I like that a lot.
One last thing that I wanted to talk about is the ability. What this really does for me is I could take a $250 bankroll and I can play at a $25 table. You know, a $250 bankroll isn't unreasonable, but for me, with my low roller mentality, this allows me to play $25 chips, green chips, and earn comps at the green chip level without a lot of, hopefully without a lot of volatility and the ability to walk away with a few extra green chips in my pocket. So that is value to me. All right, so TRG, that's everything that I really wanted to cover tonight. Anything else you want to that you would like to cover?
Well, the only, I guess, two things. One, to your point about it's a grindy system and the don't pass line. If you take that $250 bankroll and if you make it a $350 bankroll, I've had, and if you know TRG2 well enough that you can keep mental track of two bets,
Mm-hmm.
I have layered in a DC bet after the points established.
So you've got one on the don't
So
pass
I,
and
I
one
got a
on the
don't pass,
DC.
yes,
Okay.
and I've been able to do. I can mentally keep track of the two bets separate from each other and the where they need to go in terms of up or down within the system because I've been doing it now for more than several years. I'm not dating myself enough. So that is an option. Same bet, same odds,
Mm,
just a second version of that bet to have more action in the game,
gotcha.
which is more points. And then
Well,
the other
more
thing I will
points
say
and a little
is,
bit more interesting because we talked about this before.
yes,
Just playing a don't pass bet is, it's dull. It's boring.
it is.
Um,
That's what I've been doing. I've been doing bubble craps, and I've been doing this on trips where I've made enough money for the day, and the hotel room's right there, and I know I can get some more points, and I can hang out, and I can do all of that, and so then it becomes an efficient use of. I feel an efficient use of time.
mm.
Do I want to go sit and watch ESPN? Not to plug ESPN. Or the Holiday Channel, um, or, or do I want to see if I can win another 6 units, flag the waitress down for a beer, um, get some more tier credits, and I set a very very low positive exit point. Then I'm trying to win another. If I win another 4 units, that's you know that's that nice little extra added in. That's that nice little bit of money, and I'm doing that as a change of pace after an evening of blackjack.
Yeah.
So it's like blackjack, which moves quick. You get a lot of decisions per hour. You're going through the process pretty quickly. Now I've got enough extra money, if there's ever such a thing, that I can go. I can go put a little money at risk on the don't pass bar and extend my evening.
Yeah. Slow it down just a little bit, relax, and win a
Yep.
few more units.
Exactly. And then my one other thing would be to say that Casino Combat is a podcast, but it's also a YouTube channel. And I did recently post a much lower quality version of what you just saw here with me playing blackjack on a computer simulation and then you have a small window where you can see me move the chips through the process. And I was able to talk through a variety of situations, winning tables, losing tables, managing that exit. And I did one of those for all three of my wagering systems: TRG1, TRG2, and TRG4. Win more, keep more. And if you understand TRG1 is easy to understand, it's quick. TRG2 is a little complicated. But when you get it down, TRG4 is a very easy change of pace. So if you want another look at this in a blackjack environment, that resource is available as well.
All right, well, TRG, I really want to say thanks for joining me tonight. It is a little bit of a complicated process, and it does require some practice. It's something you could do on your table at home, whether you're playing blackjack or craps or whatever you want to play. Just grab 10 pennies, and you can move your chips around in your play stacks. You could do this at home. You can download the guidelines to help you understand the decisions. You can reach out to the squad, the Casino Kombat squad on Facebook, and I'll have a link to all of this down in the description. So don't think that you're alone out there if you're struggling with trying to figure out how to get this system into a playable mode. It does require some amount of practice. All right, TRG, man, thank you very much for spending some time with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's wonderful that you took the time, provided the infrastructure, provided the methodology. You did all the hard parts. All I had to do was sit here and sip some Canadian whiskey and some Fiji water and answer some questions. So it was very, very nice of you and generous of you to let everybody have this opportunity to learn this system. So thank you so much.
All right, guys. All right, that's going to do it for tonight, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.